Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Stalktober special series of stories, right from the heart of the Jakuls. I'm your attentive host, Lothran, and there's so very much work to be done, so why don't we dig right in, alright? So hurry up and grab that snack you've been craving. Settle into the best spot you can find. Get all nice and cozy and listen close to Cauldrons of Might. No, don't go yet. This part is all scrambled, but it sort of runs in a circle, or like a storyteller that tells the same old tale over and over. Here, look, it's coming back. One of the boys pointed up at the flickering holographic display above them. The others tried not to look perturbed, and were about to leave this part of the caves. It's so much darker, so much deeper and danker, mustier than they were used to exploring. And then, right as they had almost chosen to turn and leave, the music blared, slightly off-key, but it was still evident how much care and skill had gone into the production of the sound, even with such degradation it had already experienced. Oozes sighed. Pick the vile Zir, or the benevolent Vu. Both command legions of growlings, each with their own. Send out your hordes, just like the real war bringers in the time of the Vu uprising. It's gonna be static for a little while, but didn't that sound sharp as swords? He asked of his friends. The images look so complete. I've never seen paint made from light. It was crazy. Leo flicked his stretched out fingers through the bottom of the display. Why did your granddad not want us exploring these caves? You know him. Y'all get lost and hurt, and no one will ever find you, not never. What a pile of chores he is, Flint joked, miming his weathered old grandfather hobbling about awkwardly. They all shared a quick laugh until the display came back on. Train squads or entire legions, make growlings from hive thread, grow them from tanks, or figure out the science behind breeding conversion. All it takes is the right resources, know-how, and drive to accomplish. The holograph flittered in and out for several frustrating minutes as the boys waited on Flint's gesture that the loop was finished. Train and learn under the tutelage of mental imprints of history's greatest war bringers. Gain valuable input into adaptable stratagem theorems. Forge yourself into a great leader in your own right, experiencing entire lifetimes in the blink of an eye. I think this one's done for now, but I saw another one further on that was a different loop. I came back to get you guys before I watched it too long. Glowing golden square pupilled eyes snapped open in the darkness behind where the boys sat. They watched them run further into the dark, collapsed hallway. Following after their advance into greater concealment, it smirked, while pacing quietly after them in their wake. Here it is! Hey, Moo! Little brother, Moo Jean, look at me. Don't be flake. Don't go tattling on us, to Ma and Pa, like that time I had to beat the snot out of you. You remember that? Don't wander off either. Leo yelled at his little brother. Muji nodded, knowing he very much didn't want to experience another beatdown like the last one. He tried to pay attention, too. He swore that he did. But there was this shelf of crowns, like emperors of old, just sitting there, waiting to be placed on his head. They even looked sort of like the ones in the flowing paintings. He just had to try it. There's this little tickle in his mind, itching for him to pick one up. It took a little bit of forever of stretching to reach it. He glanced back at Leo and the older boys. They were there at the painting, cheering at some cool explosions. That was fun. But Mujin could feel the crown calling out to him. He almost went back to join them, but Crown kept him where he was. Frustrated, he looked for something to stand on. He couldn't quite reach it just now. He dragged a box over to help him in his quest. And finally, Leo said something. Mujin could hear his loud, angry voice. And not wanting to miss this chance, he snatched up a crown and slammed it onto his head. The shouts ended. Mujin turned to look, falling to the floor and banging his arm real bad. He hit his head lightly too, and some light came on, sending a thin beam around him in a circle. Mujin clamped his eyes shut at the torn, bloody bits of most of the people he'd ever known scattered about the hall all around him. He woke up, instinctively pulling the crown off his head, as he'd been told by Kybal, his instructor, mentor, lifelong friend, and tutor in everything Warbringer. Mujin found himself in an oddly small body. He began hyperventilating. Where was his mate? Where were his children? Where were his servants? His hive? His growling forces? What was going on? His disoriented, near-frenzied panic halted in its tracks the instant he perceived of the rumbling, primordial snarl directed right at him. Mujin leveled his darkness-penetrating altered eyes at the beast, recognizing it for what it was as soon as he picked out its shape from all the rubble and debris scattered all about the ancient hall. Emuthete, predatory unit, stand down, halt, function. The beast hesitated. It had been so long. It barely even recognized the proper commands, but its body responded where its mind did not. Mujin approached it, putting his hand against its large head to soothe the stressed and far too long active military unit. Sleep, he gave it a final command. It practically fell into his hand, but without endangering him in any way, slipping freely from the world into welcoming nothingness. What have you done? He asked, but more to himself than the beast before him. Mujin gazed past the 2-story tall cat-like living weapon, seeing the stains of what had once been his brother and several other children. Mujin looked down at his hands, realizing what had just taken place. He glanced at the crowns, then to the few scattered remains of those he'd once looked up to. He began breathing rather slowly and calmly, before he walked back to the shelf, trying out each learning crown until he found another that functioned. Taking a few steadying breaths, he put this one on his head after removing the first. And so it is. Our time together has once more come to a close. As always, I've been your host, Lothran, and this was Cauldrons of Might, another tale right from the heart of the Jakuls. And once more I find it necessary to guide you into the excellent hands of our resident expert, Korvoth. Go ahead, little one. Lead them in the proper way.
Hello, and good night to each and all. Please leave your comments, questions, and pleasantries down below. Like and share to help us learn and spread and grow. And don't forget that we strongly suggest that you do your absolute best to stay safe out there. Good night, everybody. Good luck. Goodbye. Bye.